Hey guys, I want to go ahead and talk about writing the equation of a line given 2 points. I know you guys have done this before, but just want to go over it real quick. Now, when we're writing the equation of a line, if you're in Algebra 1, you've probably heard of y equals mx plus b. Okay, now you have to understand what this means instead of just using it. Now, the b is your starting point, where you begin. Okay, your m, well, you guys know it as your slope. Or more correctly, this is a rate of change. Okay, rate of change, and that's going to be important as you move up in higher mathematics. So how do we figure out the slope? Well, you guys have they've given you the equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and that's all fine and dandy, but sometimes I just kind of like to work smarter, not harder. And as we get up in the higher levels of mathematics, we use this triangle shapes called delta, and it's called the change in y over the change in x. So if you notice over here, here's my 2 points. This is my x, that's my y, x and y. So you just kind of take a look. Well, from 11 to 13, well, what's that distance? Well, the change is actually 2. Notice that I'm starting on the left point over here, and I'm moving to the right. Now from 4 to 12, what's that change? Well, if you're on the number line, well, that's a distance of 8. So here, my slope is going to be 2 divided by 8, or 1/4. Now be careful, it's not 4. So this is what I start with. Now we have y equals our 1/4. We have x, but we don't know our b yet. Okay, so that's what we have to figure out. Now they don't tell us where we begin, where we start, but they do give us these points. So what I can do is I can just go ahead and use one of these points. It doesn't matter which one. So if you notice here I have x, I'm going to go ahead and substitute my x into, before into the x right here. I'm going to make it into a fraction by putting a 1 under it. That way I can go ahead and multiply. And I have 11 as my y. Now when you're multiplying fractions, just go straight across. And if you do this correctly, you should get a 1. Now this is pretty easy from here. 1 plus what number gives you 11? Well, that number is going to be 10. So now you know that your starting value is going to be 10. So the equation of this line is going to be y equals 1/4 x, that's your slope, your rate of change, plus 10. And there it is. Okay, and it depends what you're talking about. Maybe you're talking about tiles, maybe you're talking about a race. If you're talking about a race, maybe this guy is starts off at 10 meters away, or head start, and the rate of change is in meters per second. Now let me go ahead and do one more. Let's just say they give you a table. Okay, again, we start with y equals mx plus b. I want to find my m, my slope. Now remember, the slope is change in y over the change in x, and it's always y over x. So if I look here, I want to look at how these values are changing. So my y values, okay, what's happening? Well, from -3 to 0, I add 3, add 3, add 3. I keep adding 3. So how is it changing? Well, it's adding 3 positives. What about my x? I made it easy. We're adding 2, 2, and you can tell we're adding 2 to every single. So you notice my change is 3, over here changing 2, so my slope is actually 3 over 2. So I go back to my equation here, y equals, my slope is 3 over 2 x. But what about my b? Where do I begin? Well, you notice we always begin when x equals 0, right here, and this is what it tells me right here. We always start at figure 0 or x equals 0 right here. So this is my starting point. We don't start at 1, we actually start at 0. And you can notice the y value is at 3. That's my y-intercept. So all I do is plus 3. That becomes my my equation. Alright guys, hopefully that helps, and I'll talk to you guys again.